Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Casey Cooley.
Hello, everybody.
And this week, back from
Beyond?
Don't
say anything worse than that.
Russ Johnson. How are you, Russell?
Geez, hey, I'm doing good. I'm doing really good.
I was trying to think of a faraway planet.
From the outer rim.
I couldn't think of one. There you go.
From the outer rim.
There you go.
I'm definitely on the outer rim right now. So.
Yeah. How's it going, Russ?
Things are going good. I've been a little ill since Christmas, but I'm still taking antibiotics and I'm getting back on my feet. But things are going good. I've been delved deep into Resistance. I got the red TIE Interceptor Lego set for Christmas, and I've been really delved into that. And I got the Black Ace Lego set, so I've been really big into Star Wars Legos lately.
Sweet.
But building those and getting a little piece out of that and building things and catching up on Resistance and excited for what's coming up. So, it was good.
You're ahead of me in Resistance then. I'm guilty to say.
Yeah, I'm behind too.
I haven't watched the second season yet. Since so much happening with Star Wars.
That's the thing. I got when I got the red, because I had put it on my list and my wife had got that for Christmas for me. And I was like, I need to see what the red TIE Interceptor is, realizing it was from Resistance. So as I was building it, I was watching season 1. Okay. I got through the whole thing, and then I got the Black Ace TIE Fighter. And, so I really got into the whole series itself, and I've been catching up. I'm ready for I kind of jumped ahead on season 2, but I'm catching up on some of the, but I get what's going on in season 2 and where we're going with the finale. So just catching up on some of those earlier episodes. But yeah, it's good. It's cool. Love it.
Good.
Yeah, I'm going to try to catch up too. It's a good segue into our news here. Is that it's finale. It kind of snuck up on me in a way. Series finale is this Sunday. 1 hour special. So cool. I think what I've got recorded is like 16 episodes. So I think this is 17 and 18 of season 2. So of course season 1 is streaming on Disney Plus if anybody needs to get caught up on that. But
I was really hoping season 2 was going to be on there too, like weekly.
I thought it was too. But I've got my AT&T TV, which I've been watching. They have their episodes on there. I watch it on Disney XD. So
Disney XD, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm curious on how because I haven't really grasped the concept of how fast something will get on Disney Plus,
right?
Because I keep seeing like Frozen 2. My girls want to watch that again. I think that comes out on disc end of February, but doesn't say it's out on Disney Plus yet. So I think they're doing the whole thing where they're going to make you buy the Blu-ray and stuff first. I guess before it comes, it's kind of like HBO. It doesn't hit HBO till later.
Yeah, well, I would think too. After the season's over with Resistance, like it was airing on Disney XD, so or Disney Channel, whichever.
Disney Channel, Disney.
So it's
Disney
like,
XD,
why wouldn't they just immediately put it on Disney Plus the next day? So I don't know. We'll see.
You would think.
I hope. Yeah.
Who knows though? Resistance finale. There's a nice little teaser they put out for it, a little teaser trailer for this weekend. Got some Kylo Ren in there. Pretty neat. So
cool.
But I'm with you, Case. I think I'm only like 4 episodes in, so I got to catch up pretty good. This is actually a good chance because Russ dives deep into the comics to kind of see where you are with Star Wars comics.
Well, I went back and there's so many right now, especially with the Age of the Republic they had like, single issues about single characters and things like that. So it's been a little crazy trying to catch up on that. But my main focus has been on, the Star Wars comic. Yeah. And, they restarted with issue number 1 again. And I've been reading that. I read General Grievous from Age of Republic recently, and also have been on the Rise of Kylo Ren comic.
Yes.
So, and Darth Vader's coming out. Darth Vader number 1 is coming out again. They're rebooting that. I'm not rebooting it, but they're starting a new series with that.
Yeah.
And that hasn't come out yet. issue number 2 of Star Wars has not come out yet, and I just read today in April they're restarting or launching a new number 1 for Dr. Aphra, which
cool.
That's like you really have to read the comics to get into like Dr. Aphra. But I read that entire first series, and they're coming out with new number 1 in April. But what's interesting, the Kylo Ren series, the Rise of Kylo Ren. It's in issue 2 right now, and it takes place. It's an interesting story because it starts off with right after Kylo fights Luke. 3 Jedis come down and realize that he's destroyed, and he says he killed Luke, but we know that's not true. But he escapes and he goes to Snoke, and we come to find out that Snoke, he's known Snoke since he was like a little kid. Back.
Wow.
So Snoke has been in his head for quite a while.
Yeah.
And we also come to find out that with Knights of Ren, that Ren is an actual person within Knights of Ren. So it's building on that, and it's building onto Kylo really deciding to move to the dark side, and Snoke kind of coaxing him over, and how he's going to take his name. So it's a pretty interesting story. Long way to go, I feel like, anyway, with how he's going to kind of mold into that. But, it's about his anger, and it's very, Anakin Skywalker-ish as far as like, I don't like what's going on, but he's lying to me, and hate and fear and all this stuff coming into his life. And with Star Wars number 1, what I thought was really cool is if you read Star Wars number 1, the new launch of it, it takes place right after Empire Strikes Back, when Vader and Luke are fighting, and he's rescued by Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
So in the movie itself, it cuts from him being rescued to him in the medical bay, getting a new hand, everything else. This fills in the gap in between that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's Luke on the Millennium Falcon, and Lando and Chewie and Leia, still bickering with one another about what happened on the Cloud City and how he gave Han over, and they launch right back, going back to Mon Mothma, and they launch right into an actual battle with Empire, and Luke is kind of still in his own head about what happened with Vader and some of his father, and he gets super powerful, and he wipes out a bunch of TIE fighters with the Force in his own mind, and it's really him struggling. It's really him struggling with Obi-Wan saying telling him that Anakin or his father was killed by Vader, and he's struggling with everything. So it's a really cool little insight to what happens between that space we don't see. It fills in the gaps, and it's a really cool story, and it really starts to show Luke's power. Also, too, kind of going back into Kylo Ren, the Rise of Kylo Ren, it really shows Luke. We've seen Luke. There's a big, huge gap between where Luke is, 30 years and all that, going into the new trilogy. So this shows Luke as a super powerful, at least in the Rise of Kylo Ren, it really shows him being a more powerful Jedi.
Yeah.
And it even talks about him being the last Jedi. He talks to Ren of the Knights of Ren. He's like, you are the last Jedi, my first Jedi I've ever battled before. So it's a really cool. It's I don't know. It fills in a lot of gaps if you really want to know that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was really, it's really cool because it shows Luke being more powerful than we've ever seen him before. Even to, the Last Jedi, when, he force projects himself and that kind of stuff. But this really shows him being like Vader-esque in terms of being able to control things, destroy TIE fighters with his mind. This was with the Force himself. So that was but it also shows a little bit of it shows a little bit of anger. It shows a little bit of like he's dealing with Vader, and Vader's telling him this stuff, and what Ben had told him, and how he's struggling with that. It shows kind of that little bit of dark side that he could struggle with. So it's a really cool little placeholder and again fill in the gaps of what happens. But it's so far so good, and looking forward to what's gonna come with the new Star Wars series. And even Dr. Aphra, I'm excited about that because I really liked her story. It gives you a little bit more insight into someone who is very Han Solo like in terms of being able to bounce to doing what's good for you. It's cool. I was super excited to see that today. So the comics are going well, and more to come.
Another thing I need to catch up on.
Oh, and Grievous, the Age of very quickly, the Age of Republic Grievous was really the only one I read. There's a ton of them.
Yeah,
these are all meant to be like solo stories amongst the Clone Wars and stuff like that. But it was a really cool insight into Grievous, as far as he goes to a Jedi temple and he kind of gets sucked into a Vision-esque type quest, and how he's become, the more he replaces himself with machinery and kind of like very Vader, he's more machine than man type thing. He's losing himself into what he's doing. It was a cool little thing because I'm a fan of Grievous the character, and it had a nice little insight into him.
Very cool.
It was cool just to see him, struggling and how much he hates Jedi, and all that kind of stuff. So, I think all those Age of Republics are nice, little, cool little one-off stories.
Awesome.
I think I read that one, but I've been skipping through some of those also because there's a ton of them.
There are a ton of them.
There's like 7 or 8 per era, or something like that. Yeah. Great thing with the comics. Yeah, the Vader series that's about to start up, it's going to do the same kind of method that it did when they first launched. It's going to be kind of concurrent with the Star Wars series. So you're going to see Vader's perspective at the end of Empire, just like you did at the end of A New Hope when they were doing that series.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's really going to be neat how they do that.
Yes.
Yeah, that was incredible. Which I need to finish that.
Yeah,
because I think I was like, I'm on somewhere in the 60s, and it was like 75 of them. I think right, the first Star Wars. Yeah, so I'm like,
first Star Wars was 75 issues.
75, yeah.
And then it went back to number 1. But like I say, it kicks off right in the middle, right
at the end
side of the trilogy. So
yeah, filling that 1 year gap between Empire and Jedi.
Every minute's going to be filled. So
every minute. Well, I got 19 years.
They've been doing a pretty good job past few years.
Yeah, they have. All right, that's awesome. Of course, Russ is definitely the one reading all the comics right now. So
that's great. I love the comics. The comics are great.
I know. No, they are.
I love them. They're really good.
Are you doing all digital now, or are you still picking them up at the shop?
No, I'm all digital at this point.
Yeah, I figured that. Yeah, no.
All digital.
Okay, we've been doing this every week too. A little box office update. Last week, Rise of Skywalker finally crossed $1 billion worldwide. It didn't really gain too much ground for a week. I think maybe 30 million. So it's at 1,031,767,893. So
yeah.
Probably going to start leveling off. I'm not even sure it's going to hit 1.1 billion, but which would again be the lowest of the 3. So I get lowest of the besides Solo, lowest. So it's going to end up at the 4th of the Disney films right now. But before I mention what I'm stoked for the most, which is Clone Wars, it's funny because you mentioned Dr. Aphra because did you guys see? Did you guys see the fake rumored? I don't want to spend too much time on this, but the Mandalorian casting 2 rumor.
No,
season 2.
No,
have you seen that, Russ?
I've not seen that.
So somebody put out of course, it's like this casting call thing, but it's not a casting call, but cast sheet, but it's the name of the character and then the picture of the person playing the character.
Okay,
and. Someone wrote that, someone, of course, on Twitter was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be awesome. And it would be awesome. I doubt it's true. I mean, of course, it's not being confirmed. But one of the people that was listed on there was Dr. Aphra.
Jeez.
Really?
Yeah. And they claimed it was going to be played by Chloe Bennett, who is Quake on Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. I could see that.
Totally see that. Yeah, I could totally see that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the people, that's what, all of a sudden the Chloe Bennett thing started going around, and she never, I don't think she's come out and denied it, but I don't think anybody's confirmed it either.
She had no idea. She's like, oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Of course, the normal people are on there.
Our established characters.
Our established characters were on there. So Mandalorian, Pedro, and Gina and Carl Weathers.
Yeah.
Of course, then it got into it had D. Bradley Baker as Bosk.
Interesting. Well, he can do he does creature sounds.
Does the voice? He would do the voice probably.
Yeah, which he's good at that kind of voice.
But we've already seen Trandoshans.
Yeah.
So that whatever. Yeah, that's fine. But then there were two other ones that were kind of out there.
Great.
Well, one is one we've talked about, which is Mon Mothma, played by the same person. Genevieve.
I always forget.
Yeah, it's Genevieve or Guinevere or something like that.
Forget
the girl that played her in Rogue One.
Yeah, and Revenge of the Sith. Yeah,
and Revenge of the Sith.
The deleted scene.
The deleted scenes. And she voiced her in Rebels.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. So she's listed on there, and then the other two ones, which are crazy again, are from Battlefront. Shreve.
Oh my gosh.
And Iden Versio, played by
Janina Gavankar.
Gina Gavankar.
Oh my gosh. That'd be
great.
Of
course, it's just too good to be true, though, right?
It's too good to be true. But that would come from Favreau and Filoni because they're the guys that hit all the right fan moments and also provide great stories around it, I think. So they don't do it for fan service's sake, I don't think. But that's awesome. I would love that.
Oh my! I think every Star Wars fan. Because all of a sudden you're starting to bridge all these different mediums. You're bringing in people from the games. You're bringing in people from the comics. TV shows, movies. They're all. It's like that. I mean, in a good, like you said, it's something Filoni as a fan would probably be like all about. So
cool.
I don't know. What do you think? Any truth to that, Russ?
I think with Filoni for sure. There's probably a little bit of truth to that because, watching Resistance and even, watching the trailer for it, and I wasn't a big Clone Wars person as far as I was behind on the whole series. But when I watched the trailer for it, I was like, yeah, I think he really feels, I don't know. He's dialed into the whole story. So, I think there's some truth to that, for sure.
That would be crazy. Then, of course, there's definitely some rumors floating around that Taika Waititi is being courted for a Star Wars film.
Right.
Of course, that's all speculation there. Yeah, all speculation there. Of course, there has been definitely news floating around that we will get some kind of announcement of as far as what the future film series will be.
Right.
Now that Benioff and Weiss are gone, and there's still release dates in December 2022 and stuff like that. So that may be coming. It might be Taika. Who knows? The next thing that's been floating around the last few days seems like it gets confirmed and then debunked and then confirmed again. But apparently Kenobi is in some kind of flux right now. First, it was reported that it was on hold. It was getting moved on hold.
Yep.
But now what I'm reading is that it's the speculation is that Kathleen Kennedy is kind of fearful right now that the scripts that were originally written for the 6 episodes very similarly parallels itself with The Mandalorian, in the sense that Obi-Wan, there's a lot of Obi-Wan, looking over Luke and supervising, and
interesting.
So they're getting that sense of Mandalorian helping Baby Yoda. It's kind of the same type of story as what the rumor is, and that the crews have been sent home, but that doesn't make sense because someone else was even mentioning that, well, they weren't even supposed to start shooting until the summer anyway.
Yeah.
In fact, Ewan McGregor's under contract for something else before he even does Obi-Wan. So, you can maybe there's some truth to them changing the story because then they're talking about actually shortening it to 4 episodes instead of 6. So those are some pretty significant details to be kind of rumor bait. I don't know, so I don't know.
I didn't know there was more news because I remember the initial reports that it was just simply canceled, and then that was debunked.
Yeah, today it came back saying that this happened. That Kathleen they wanted to hire another writer. That Deborah Cho and obviously Ewan McGregor are on board still, but they're just trying to rework the scripts now because they're fearful that it's similar to The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I didn't think that Obi-Wan really had spent hardly any time with Luke as a kid.
I mean, he knew who he was, obviously, but that's
more as a myth than like, you're old Ben from my childhood who protected me all those years. Like,
exactly.
Not that. Right. So I don't know about that. Hopefully that means that they are fixing something as opposed to like worried about how it'll perform.
Yes. Yeah. But I'm only skeptical about this whole thing because the thing about it is for 2 years apparently they kept it a secret that Ewan McGregor was even doing this. So how all of a sudden they have all this information that's out there? It's like I don't think. I mean, half the stuff now
like it.
Again, like the Mandalorian cast, and it's like people are just trying to get some stories out there. I don't know,
clickbait and stuff like that.
No, I agree with that. For sure.
Yeah, I could see if it is like a 4 episode season or truly like a 6, like they've been saying. I can see like the first season being revolving around one major event around the Lars homestead, like
could be
attackers, like I don't know, something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's a good.
Not in the
especially Joel Egerton's rumored to come back too.
No, that's a great perspective.
But you can still do that. Essentially, Obi-Wan is protecting Luke, but not in the sense of he's carrying Luke around
every day kind of thing.
Carrying Luke in a backpack and protecting him from Tusken Raiders. I can't, and especially if this is, if this is like 5 or 6 years after. How long did they say? After
I think it's 7 years.
7 years.
After
Luke would remember.
He's only like 7 years old.
Yeah, Luke would remember being at that point.
I would think so.
Any
too.
significant thing,
unless, like you said, it's an isolated event. That
one little thing.
Well, maybe he runs away from home, and Obi-Wan finds him, and they're making the long trek back to the Lars homestead. And there's all this stuff that happens. Again, that would be very simple. I think. But I don't know how much you would get out of that. So, but we'll stay tuned, and I'm pretty sure. Again, if they waited 2 years to get this thing going, there's no way they're going to cancel this thing.
Right.
So, it's going to come eventually. Yeah. Okay, so Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I don't know how long I've been telling Casey this for months now. Like, why haven't I seen a new trailer of this thing?
Yeah.
It seems like Lucasfilm's on this trend of waiting like a month before to really ramp up their marketing.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, like Rise of Skywalker, we even got... we didn't get all those TV spots till like 3 weeks before the movie came out.
Every day, yeah.
Every day, so... Okay, so Clone Wars trailer. I gotta say, my first thing is I'm stoked. I've been one of those... I feel like I'm not. I might not be in the rarity, but it's like was more into the Clone Wars than I was Rebels. Like Clone Wars was.
Yeah.
I was every week. I watched every week as it came out. Just it got better and better every season, and I was definitely one of those fans that was just devastated that they weren't able to end this thing.
Yeah.
Like it truly needed to be ended. Yeah. So surprised that they actually finish this thing. So season 7, it is confirmed now. It is the final season. It's not, I think there was still some lingering hope that they were going to do some longer seasons, and stuff like that. What we haven't gotten, it is 12 episodes, but we still haven't gotten any run times. Are these episodes longer because it is Disney Plus? Are there 12, 22 episodes, or maybe we're getting 12, 42 episodes, meaning that it's technically 24 episodes.
Sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're not really close in time together. You know, some maybe 30 minutes, some maybe, I don't know. It might be like Mandalorian, just varying. Anyway, trailer looks fantastic. I really got a good feeling out of it. It's kind of had that emotional turn and twist at your heart because, you know, Ahsoka being back and Rex being back, and there's definitely just a couple things that I spotted. I don't know if you've seen it, Russ, but like apparently there's definitely, it seems like there's a shot of young Kanan.
Yeah.
Which is Caleb Doom is his name.
Yep.
Jedi name. The line that Mace Windu is saying is straight out of Episode 3. I was talking to somebody on our Facebook group, and they were like, you know, they're gonna how close is this gonna get right up to Episode 3? And I responded like, it's actually gonna cross over Episode 3 because there is that scene, there is that line that they're having that conversation right before Order 66 goes down. Which, you know, again, the speculation is that Order 66 is going to happen during the Siege of Mandalore, which will pretty much end the series. I think it'll be right around the Order 66. And then I think the big thing is, little, I can come back to it too, but the one controversy that I'm hearing out there a little bit is that there's a shot of Padme, you know, as a hologram.
Like
touching hands with Anakin a little bit. Well, people are confused or people are saying that is killing continuity because she's visibly pregnant.
Yeah, she's touching her belly too, I think.
But she doesn't tell him until during Episode 3. So, I mean, to me, that scene obviously then takes place.
Yeah.
But I don't think I guess people are just assuming that there's no way that this thing is going to go beyond the start of Episode 3. But it clearly does, because I think that takes place anyway. So what'd y'all think?
I got chills watching it. I wasn't expecting that either, because I was just it's looked better than it ever has before. A lot more time taken for like the shallow depth of field, all that cinematic technique like thrown into it. It looks phenomenal. And just hearing Sam Witwer throughout the episode, throughout the trailer, and then Rex's lines about the war, like it's just in the action, it all hit so well throughout, and just how they're moving, like how the fights are shot in this. And we heard in Celebration that they, for at least for Maul's scenes, that they actually I guess motion captured, performance captured.
Ray Park. That's right.
They actually performance captured Ray Park for the fight stuff with Ahsoka. And I mean, perhaps they used other actors for the other roles, because they all look like they're just moving so fluid, like it looks real, and I love that. And so it just feels amazing watching this trailer, and I just cannot. Like, now I'm way more excited now. I was pretty excited, but now I'm just I cannot wait.
Now, Russ, you were behind on Clone Wars a little bit. Are you caught up yet? Or?
I am still behind on Clone Wars. I'll let you know that, because I jumped in.
Darth Maul's alive.
Well, yeah, exactly. And here's the thing: when I watched Rebels completely.
Yeah.
And I've been keeping up on Resistance. So when the trailer came out for the final season of Clone Wars, I was like, well, I've watched several episodes, I've watched a couple seasons of Clone Wars. But yeah, I agree with you. It's like, when I saw, Darth Maul and where this is going, it's like, I need to get back into that and figure out how that's going to all work out. But, based on the fact that, I watched all of Rebels and most of Resistance, I'm going to go back and like deep dive into Clone Wars and make sure I know what's going on. Because when I watched the trailer, I was like, and that's the whole thing. It seems weird, but when I watched all of Rebels, and with everything that happened with Darth Maul and everything that happened with Ahsoka and Darth Vader in the temple, I was like, I got to go back and I got to figure it all out. I got to get it all laid out and make sure I understand the entire thing. But yeah, I am totally. I watched the trailer multiple times today for Clone Wars. I'm like, yeah, I'm totally on board. I got to go back and make sure everything lays out. But yeah, I'm super excited about it. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, and again, it's amazing to think that. I mean, it's been 8 years.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, because it ended.
It's been a while.
It ended when the buyout happened.
Oh, that's
so
right.
the buyout happened
right before Rebels.
2012.
Yeah. That's right. Okay.
So,
jeez.
I mean, it debuted in
debuted 09.
09.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it had 5 seasons on television. Remember, and then the 6th season got released shortly after the buyout because that was the Lost Missions. So that wasn't ever, that they never aired. So they aired 5 seasons, and then so 5 season run, and then it hasn't been around since. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, it is super crazy. Again, I watched trailers several times. I was like, oh my gosh! I mean, there were several parts. Like I say, I had to go the whole thing, but when I went through the trailer several times, it was like, oh my gosh! Yeah, I remember all that stuff, and I see how it all ties in, and I got to get that all lined up. Based on the fact that I've watched Rebels and Resistance, we gotta go back and cover all that content again.
It seems like Ahsoka, even I don't know how much time. I mean, it looks like there's a little bit of time that's passed because we don't see her entire. You don't see her at all. I think in the 6th season. So. And Anakin, of course, has his longer hair, so time has gone by. But it's it's going to be awesome. I'm assuming it's going to be every week for 12 weeks, so that'll put us. Would you say middle May? I think. So we're still going to be a few months short of Star Wars stuff till Mandalorian comes out, but Clone Wars, starting February 21st, Disney Plus. Stoked about that. So we'll definitely talk a lot about Clone Wars next month. Leading up to that, that's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about there. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's get into the Rise of Skywalker again. This is kind of our January series right now that we couldn't just dedicate one episode to reviewing this thing. There's a lot to talk about in this, so we've been bringing people on. Russ is obviously here now to talk. We've got some topics we'll get to. Russ, just kind of paragraph your overall feeling of Rise after you watched it, the first time and walked out of it.
All right, so rough paragraph from before the movie came out, and I read a couple of reviews and the negativity and some of the positivity that was going around the movie. But for me personally, and again, I'm one of the older guys here who was there when Star Wars first came out. I loved it. Mm-hmm. I really did. I really enjoyed it. I really had a good time. I really enjoyed the fan service. I really enjoyed the story. I felt like all the characters had, everything from, Leia saying I have to do what I have to do.
Yeah.
And even though I understand it was piecemealed together because she was gone and they were doing it from other movies. But I felt like it was done very well. I felt like it didn't seem like it was contrived or it was, we have to force her into this story type thing. For me, as a Star Wars fan from the age of 9 years old, it really satisfied me. It really did. I had a good time with it. I was really entertained. I felt like for lack of a better example, all the boxes were ticked.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with. I can understand the people who got on the internet and with their reviews and were like, why did they do this? Why did they do that? And they had their negative responses to it. But for me personally, I don't know. I really felt like it. Like I say, it ticked all the boxes. It was what it was, and there were some inconsistencies across the board, but nothing that was like egregious. It was just like, we can insert this here, we're going to insert that there, but I didn't think the fan service was, again, egregious. It had all the things that needed to be there. I really felt that the Kylo Ren story itself, his redemption, which is what was, I wanted that. I really felt like, we had to get that point. I felt like Leia had to have an end story that, brought back Han and really kind of redeemed that story. And I don't know. For me, it ticked all the boxes. I know it sounds stupid and cliche, but it really did. I walked out of there and I was like, yeah, that's a great ending for me.
Well, I don't think that's really that's not a cliched answer for this movie from what I've been hearing.
Yeah, no.
I think a lot of people were saying quite the opposite. But I'm so glad because, same here. I can understand people's like if Palpatine didn't work, if simply his presence didn't work for him, like they didn't want that, then the whole movie's thrown off.
Right.
Or if you wanted Rey to stay a nobody and not be connected, like if you were really passionate about that, which is fine, then this movie doesn't work for you. And I can understand that, but it's just it's when I hear people saying like the movie was either too fast or too slow, couldn't understand it, or too predictable. And like little things like that. It's like okay, I guess it is a personal preference to that point, but it's just like I just feel the opposite.
Right.
So it's super subjective opinions. There's I think objectively it's definitely fundamentally sound movie. I think it has everything it needs. So, yeah.
How many times have you seen it, Russ?
I've only seen it once, but I mean, that was the whole thing. It was like, again, when I walked into it, I was like, I had read all the negative reviews. I'd read that it's this, it's that. The special effects look great, but we don't understand this, we don't understand that. Yeah. And so I kind of pushed that to the side. I at least I tried to, and I didn't really. I mean, I understand the negative responses to it, but as a movie as a whole, and as the end of this entire Skywalker trilogy, I really didn't see. To me, it's a matter of like you're nitpicking.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I just wanted to be entertained. I wanted to have all the fan service. I wanted to have the, the growth and the expansion and the redemption and all those things that happened within the movie. I know Palpatine was I know people were like, oh, he's forced into it, and we know it from the very beginning. And it's not a whole, it's not a big storyline that plays in. We tell it from the very, the crawl. Palpatine's alive.
Yeah.
And I can understand. Let me preface that with like quotation marks. I can understand the criticism of it, but again, for me as a fan, as a 9-year-old kid who walked into it, and to see Palpatine come back and try to draw people over, and I don't know. I really felt like when I walked out of that theater that night, I really felt as a long-term original Star Wars fan, I really felt like I was cared for. I was, I was satisfied. I was like, you felt like, I didn't dismiss this, I didn't dismiss that. And there were some things here and there, there's always that kind of stuff. But I really tried to look at it objectively as just, am I entertained?
Yeah.
Do I feel like I was serviced as a fan of this series for so long? I mean, we're talking 30 plus years I've been a fan of this
40
series.
Plus years, yeah.
Did I walk out of that theater, that final trilogy, satisfied? And the answer is yes. Mm-hmm. I was satisfied. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the character. I really enjoyed Kylo Ren's redemption. I really enjoyed Leia's sacrifice. Yeah. I really enjoyed, Rey coming of who she was. I really enjoyed. I mean, I know. I really loved all that stuff. I had a great time. And then this thing too. It's not just was I service as a fan? Was I entertained? Did I have a good time? Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. I really felt great walking out of that theater that night. Man. So that's all I can base it on. That's all I can base it on. Perfect. I really, I was super happy. I walked out going, yep, I'm good. That was fun. That was a great time. That's how I felt when I was 9 years old. Mm-hmm. That's how I felt when I'm 51. Does that make sense?
That's great, man.
I know that sounds weird, but that's how I felt. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time.
Said. Yep.
Yeah, I think I got better. It got better for me. I saw it 3 times that weekend, and I think that it got better for me that time. So that's one character that we've talked about a lot leading up to the movie. We haven't really talked about too much post movie, except when we've talked about the Sith a little bit a couple episodes ago. But there is the return of Palpatine, and this is the big change, I guess, that really got added, obviously, to the storyline, because there was no hint at him coming back in 7 and 8. This was,
I think it's pretty confirmed now that they've been saying that he wasn't planned.
That he wasn't planned?
Yeah, Palpatine
I definitely think that that's true. Because JJ was brought on after. I mean, because right now we're even getting the Trevorrow story, apparently, that's been leaking out there. It's
and the revisions that he went through.
Yes, there's apparently a script out there that's out there. There's apparently some artwork now that's kind of out there that I don't know if you saw that today.
Oh, I haven't seen anything today.
Today is actually there's some killer artwork that came from apparently Trevorrow's script. Like Rey in kind of a black with double-bladed sabers, Coruscant. We were supposed to go back there. In fact, go back and look at that stuff, because it actually would have been a pretty cool movie.
Just
actually.
To briefly touch on it, because I like the initial leaks were about apparently the early drafts of his work, where we visited Coruscant, and a lot happened on Coruscant. And then we visited Mortis, and then there's a lot of stuff like that. And there was a kind of a different villain and all that. Honestly, hearing the initial draft, it's like, I love the nostalgia of it. Like, definitely Coruscant, yes, 100%. And if Mortis played into it, perfect. But the kind of general story and the character beats, which were very similar, but I definitely would have preferred Rise of Skywalker, what we got. Then hearing Trevorrow's apparent changes he had to make because of Carrie Fisher's passing, because the whole story surrounding when he left back when it happened, I remember they kept saying like the rumor was he couldn't quite get the story right after she passed. He couldn't make it work.
Oh, yeah.
And if these leaks are accurate, then I can see that, because hearing how the story dramatically changed after Carrie passed, the story definitely felt weaker. So I totally buy that. But in his revised draft, Coruscant was the major planet. Like, it was throughout most of the movie. So that would have been awesome. Yes, 100%. But and that's still and that those I don't even want to call them criticisms of Rise of Skywalker, but little notes that I thought of, little side thoughts where I wish we would have had maybe a little bit more connection to prequels, such as barely small things. Show Coruscant at the end instead of which I forget. There was
Bespin.
Bespin instead of Bespin. Show Coruscant. That's it. So little things like that. Which
Bespin's not. Bespin was just a small relevant.
Well, it's they showed 3 or 4 planets, right? So it's like you had Endor
and
you
Bespin.
had Bespin.
I don't think they showed anything else.
I thought they had one more planet, but maybe not. Jakku.
Jakku.
So it's like you have your sequel trilogy planet, which is Jakku. You have your original trilogy planet, which is Endor. Show your prequel trilogy planet.
I know.
Coruscant. So, anyways.
Totally. So that's the little side note with Trevorrow's thing. I don't know if that's, I don't know how much true that is, but he did come out because he did debunk the other stuff that they thought it was, but that was JJ's concept art.
Yeah.
So, again, we talked about it 100 times on here when we were at Celebration, and the trailer gets released and everybody finally hears Palpatine's laughter, it's the whole build up to that. I just think I don't think there was a way to really truly connect, like you're saying, the entire saga unless you have Palpatine back in it, because he is the ultimate bad guy in all of this. I mean, he started it all. Just like in episode 1 when we see the start of Anakin and the start of Palpatine, and he's the one driving all of this. So it was natural for me. I think it was it was needed. I think it was. I'm surprised that we didn't really get hinted at all in the first 2 movies. Because again, like you said, I don't think it was in the time. I don't think it was in the outline, which is surprising to me. But I think that maybe it could have been a little more of a reveal later, maybe not later, but not necessarily the first line in the crawl. But I'm okay with that. Whatever. I'm okay with that. I think that's what kind of made it good. Was I was surprised how fast we saw him. The first scene of the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I thought it was going to be more about. We did talk about Kylo possibly, finding him or going to find him or going to search for him, but he was already doing his search before the movie started, kind of thing. So, but the whole, I think the only thing I was, I guess, fully disappointed in a little bit was just how he was defeated.
Yeah.
I just think that I wanted, you talk about fan service, Russ. Like, I wanted a lightsaber battle at the end with the Sith Lord.
I can see that. Yeah.
I mean, that's
I can see that.
The red sabers against the blue sabers. It's like that's been the
Star Wars,
staple of Star Wars, every Star Wars film. So
yeah,
I was a little disappointed that didn't happen, and because I felt like it was, as soon as she woke up, I feel like the ending came so fast. It's like they sped to him getting killed and all the First Order ships getting destroyed. It's like real quick. So, but overall, I freaking love Ian McDiarmid. I love the character of Palpatine and what he stood for and how much he fought against our heroes in this entire saga. So I'm completely, again, a month after I've seen this thing, I'm completely okay with Palpatine being back in this thing.
Yeah. I can see that. Being that I watched all of Rebels, and towards the end of Rebels, when Palpatine was in that area, that was, I feel like people who don't see all that stuff, because for me, when Kylo went very beginning of the movie, fighting, he's going in, he's gonna go to this, go to this planet to search for Palpatine. I feel like that really tied back to Rebels, as far as like him being across time and space and all these different elements and things that were unnatural. Being that I had watched all of Rebels, when Kylo at the very beginning of the movie went into that whole area, I was like, oh, I get it. But I don't know that everyone who only have seen just the movies would get that. I know that's me being like super geek, but but the whole thing. I walked in and I was like, oh, I get it. I see what I know what he's doing. I know where he's going. I understand this is what's happening. But I don't know. I don't know that holds true for every kind of just general fan. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's similar, or maybe even more of a blatant callback to that kind of transition is, putting Maul in Solo. It's like, what the heck is going on? Although that was a small moment, but this is, you're basing your entire movie on the concept that people believe Palpatine is back. And
Absolutely.
it's such a fragile thing to expect your audience to just jump on board. You know, I
without even explaining it.
Yeah, exactly.
Movie, yeah.
And that the whole time leading up to this movie, although I was really excited, I was also really worried because I thought I feel like they had to explain so much. It's like how are they going to answer and sum up, answer how Palpatine survived, where he comes from, how are they going to introduce him to the movie, how are they going to type Rey's story, you know, figure out who her parents are, or just type the whole storyline. Kylo, you know, Carrie Fisher, Luke Skywalker, it's like all these things they had to tie up. It's like, to me, the only way that they could have fit in at least Palpatine was bring him in early. I didn't expect that we were going to see him. I just thought we would know in the film, like the characters would figure out he's alive very early on. And my wild speculation was that it would be talked about in the crawl, but straight up saying Palpatine's alive. He's already talked to the First Order like that much. Like everybody already is aware to that degree. It was surprising to me. I thought it was going to be something like Kylo, like it was already a secret plan that the First Order would have had to bring him back somehow. And it would be like an emergency fail-safe plan that they're just now enacting. It wasn't like Palpatine was working from the very beginning. He's always been around. And he's always been working. You know, that was the surprise I totally buy it.
So what's everybody's take on, is he, you know, where are you falling as far as conclusion goes? Is that the original body of Palpatine, or is it a failed clone, or if it's an incomplete clone? Where are you on the physical part of Palpatine coming back?
Yeah, I mean, I can go either way, honestly. I guess I'm leaning towards the fact that he might be the original one. I can buy that.
Yeah,
just because it's very, you know, Sith and Jedi are very resilient to death, even when they're dismembered. So I'm fine with that. But I'm also 100% behind the fact that if it was like this is the clone, this is the most successful clone that they've gotten, and it's just a half a body. You know, this is as much as they can do. You know, he's got two and a half fingers. You know, so it's like, okay, let's just put him in the chair.
I was going to pay attention to that next time I see it. So he doesn't have at all?
I don't think so.
Because it's a robe.
It looks like just a dangling robe. Like they actually released or someone leaked an image and they put it on, you know, all the news sites of like a good look of how he is in this arm thing. Because I always notice it looks like in his chest, it looks like there's a solid thing like sticking out of his robe. Like you can almost see a rectangular
like it's holding
brace, like holding him, or like he's sitting on top of it.
I just thought his legs were there, but they weren't. He couldn't stand on them.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's like shriveled up little legs.
I guess.
You know, they try to put them back together, and it's like withered. But no, I just figured like that's the top half. That's the half they salvaged, and that's, you know, I don't know.
See his torso.
Yeah. There's like scrounging around in some garbage, like, oh, there he is.
Because I was fully under the impression when I first saw it was that this is his original body. Because, you know, when we see his hands, you can kind of get a good glimpse of his hands. That they look like they've been burnt or seared off. Yeah. You know, they're almost down to the bone.
Little rats gnawing off his body as he was laying in the bottom of the
shaft.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I feel like it's his original body. Just because that's how they're trying to lay it out. And, you know, obviously he goes back into the whole thing of like, you know, about the unnatural side of the dark side and, you know, things that aren't what it is. But, you know, I feel like it's more, I can see both sides of that, but I feel like it's him.
Yeah.
I feel like it's him.
Because we don't see, when Kylo's first walking around there, we don't see other Palpatines.
No,
right?
No, you don't.
Yeah,
no.
So that's what made me think that maybe they're just trying to regrow his parts, you know, to make them functioning. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
The only thing I can think of is if he's a clone, because that would make sense to me. Like the first thing that kind of threw me off a little bit when watching the film was the first time we saw Palpatine. His face didn't look like how it did at the end of Return of the Jedi. It looked like I mean, I think this, honestly, I'm just chalking it up to just a costuming, just design choice. But because his face, it just looked like they put white makeup on Ian McDiarmid. They didn't give him the wrinkly skin that he had at the end of Return of the Jedi.
I mean, what part? The
very beginning, the very first time I saw him. Only up until when he got regenerated by the life force did he actually look like truly what the Emperor looks like. So I don't know if that can be explained in the canon, why he looks that. I mean, I'm really trying to be nerdy and nitpicky and figure this out.
Ian McDermott's older now.
Yeah, so it's like maybe they can't put prosthetics on his face because it doesn't work. I don't know. So I was trying to think, like, why does he look like that? It looks like they just put white makeup and black lipstick on him.
Well, how do you feel about, when we saw... When Kylo walked in and said, I dealt with Snoke, and he's like, no, I created Snoke, and there were a bunch of body parts in there. Is that something you play into? That he created these, not necessarily clones, but he created these other versions and these other, kind of malformed creatures who were Snoke, because Snoke, he's pretty messed up to begin with, but he showed all those body parts to begin with when he walks into that whole area. So it's like, I created Snoke. So was it, this was the best form of Snoke I could come up with? And I don't know.
And that kind of leads into one of the criticisms, like people still not understanding Snoke and thinking like that's a plot hole, whatever, just a gap that throws him out of the story. Like,
right.
I personally got enough. Like, they explain Snoke in the way of like, oh, he's just a pawn of the Emperor. So how they wrote him into the story or wrote him off for the story, like, it works for me to move forward with what's happening in the film, but definitely that there's still answers or still questions to be answered.
Well, I thought of this a little bit later. I think the Snoke thing, and maybe we'll find out more, like Russ was saying in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic, right?
It tells more about. It has Snoke in a totally different context of anything we've ever seen in the movies. So I don't know that every fan who watches the movies or even what's ever on Disney Plus or anything like that, but there are at least some sort of answers or some sort of he's a character who needs to be taken more seriously and not just thrown away because Kylo killed him or the Emperor created him, or there's some nuances there that we're not really dealing with. So I don't know that the typical fan, quote unquote, would really see that. But there's more to Snoke than we see in the big picture.
And in the beginning, when he is telling Kylo, I've always been in your head, and you hear Vader's voice.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you hear Snoke's voice. That just makes me think, though, because obviously Vader was a real person, right? It wasn't a clone.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So I'm thinking that I kind of started thinking that that Snoke wasn't necessarily created by him, but there's times that he used Snoke's persona and projected that voice.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just like he did Vader, right? When he's talking to the master.
Absolutely.
So I don't think it kind of threw me off when Kylo first walks in there and you see Snoke,
like the tub of Snoke.
The Tokus. See, there was more than one though.
I think there was a couple at least. I think there was like
because I only noticed the one.
I think they're all like kind of crammed in there.
Yeah, so I got to look at that again because when I first saw that movie, when I first watched it, and even the second time I watched it, I just had the impression that was the Snoke from Episode 8.
They picked him up.
They picked him up and they were trying to again revive him.
They have some crew out there scooping up these Sith lords.
Well, they revived him like they were trying to. They're trying to revive him like they revived Palpatine. So,
gotcha.
I never noticed any more Snokes, and I never noticed. I never got the impression that they had cloned him or they created him.
So there's a leaked image from the film. I'm showing Dave right now. So there's a couple
one there.
There's a couple little Snokes.
And is that a Snoke? Is that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's a Snoke. But like he's got the gash in his head still, so it's like.
Yeah, I mean, in the Rise of Kylo Ren, the comic book series,
in the comic
when he goes to Snoke, he looks the same, but he's portraying himself and what is the dark side as a little different from what we're typically used to. So, he's like, I created this whole area of light with life and beauty and all this other stuff outside of the shadows, quote unquote. So there's a whole different side of him. So yeah, I definitely think it's plausible that there could be several manipulations between what we see in the movies and the comics and what Palpatine actually had intended for Kylo to fall into. So
yeah. See, it's just a little unfortunate that when you watch the original trilogy and you watch the prequel trilogy, you don't have to see anything else to get the full understanding of what technically happens in those movies, right? I mean, it's great that we're getting these comics that are filling in the gaps, but you don't need them.
Right.
No.
I feel like in this trilogy, you're starting to get the backstories that are almost going to explain what's happening in the sequel trilogy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it'll definitely fill in the gaps to where you understand the whole picture, because you watch it and you feel like you're missing parts of the picture.
Yeah.
But like in that sense of like, I still understand it. And I still like everything still works fine. Like I still follow the progression of everybody's story, everybody's arc, and everybody's story, and all that. It's just like little holes. It's like the movie wouldn't suddenly click for me if all these questions were answered. But yeah, I would love to know, and I actually love that. I love that. I'm not saying I want a movie where it gives me half the story and the other half I have to read in a book somewhere, but I love that they're kind of being more purposeful with tying everything together and creating these contexts within like different mediums. So, because it just makes it for a fun franchise and for a fun mythology, to make it all well rounded. So I don't know, I love that. But.
Yeah,
totally. Okay, so then last thing, let's talk a little bit about kind of how it all wrapped up, the ending with Rey finally going to Tatooine, bearing Luke and Leia's lightsabers, taking the Skywalker name, having built her own lightsaber kind of thing. I guess overall thought of how you thought it was really going to end and whether or not you're happy with what you saw in that ending of the Skywalker Saga, not just the end of episode 9, the entire Skywalker Saga.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've already mentioned in the previous episode about how I wish Ben lived, but barring that, he should have showed up as a Force ghost. But barring that, I did not think at all about any issues with her going to Tatooine the first time I watched it. The only thing that caught me was like, well, why is she burying Leia's saber in Tatooine? I've kind of questioned that a little bit, but I didn't think of it at the aspect of like, oh, this is like, why is she going here? Because this is the place that Luke and Anakin tried to escape. Why would she be going back and thinking that this is where this is happiness? This is like where she was going to find peace.
Enslaved by Jabba there.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's her only thing. It's like, and I thought Leia has no connection here. Why would she? I get it for the visual aspect of it. Obviously it's impactful, of course, but and it's Tatooine, so it's cool, but. I just didn't dwell on it too much, but I definitely didn't think about if it contradicts anything. And then it was kind of revealed to me. I'm thinking like, yeah, that's true. I mean, you'd have a point, but it doesn't hurt my opinion of it. I'm just thinking maybe, I was kind of base level when it happened. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But maybe if they did something different, I would have liked it more. But I definitely don't hate it. So I mean, it's kind of like I don't know. I'm hoping I'm not sounding like a just a yes man supporter for everything that's happening in the movie, because
Yeah.
It definitely could have been better, but it wasn't horrible. Didn't kill the movie, kill Rey's character or kill Luke and Leia's character, and their legacy. Like I don't think it ruined anything like that or retconned anything.
Yeah. And taking the name, obviously,
that's fine. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's of all the different theories we talked about what does Rise of Skywalker mean, that was the most likely. So I was kind of expecting that, but it's fine.
and they couldn't.
It makes sense.
They couldn't be. I felt like halfway through they couldn't even be more obvious when the little girl asked her, "What's your family name?" Just Rey.
Yeah,
I was okay, she's gonna be Rey Skywalker.
Okay, got it. I did think she was going. Okay, when we first saw Leia's saber, I did think that that's gonna be Rey's lightsaber. She's gonna carry on Leia's legacy.
Yeah,
that's how the Rise of Skywalker is also gonna continue. Like she's carrying the weapon of a Skywalker, but how it happened is fine. She built her own.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It's Rey Skywalker's lightsaber.
Rey Skywalker.
Russ, ending.
Yeah. Well, just saying that, I feel like Leia was never really represented well as a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like she was kind of shoehorned in for the most part, and not necessarily in a bad way. But we focused on Luke for a long time, and we always knew that Leia had those powers. But throughout the entire series, I feel like we didn't get a lot of her. It was kind of I don't know. I don't want to dump all over this because I feel like it at the end of the series we want to represent her as what she was and what she was through the rebellion and to be a Jedi. But I feel like we go back and watch her and Luke training together. It was kind of shoehorned in, and I wish it was handled a little bit better. But in the end, again, I'm not gonna crap all over the movie. In the end, I felt like it was a good, at least tie-in to it wasn't great that she was on Tatooine and that's where she was captured and so on and so forth. But I feel like it was a nice little homage to her as a Jedi, because outside of her being blown out of the ship and flying back in and being in a coma, I felt like and unfortunately it was just a result of what was happening at the time. She passed away, so we had to deal with what we had to film in the end.
Yeah,
but I felt like the criticism of that was a little harsh.
Yeah.
Because you had what you had, and in certain terms, I could look at it and be like, oh, well, they're just trying to. She's saying the same thing over and over again, type of thing. But at least they tried to give her a point of reference as a person who could redeem someone. That was my big thing, was that when she said, I know what I have to do. Yeah. And when she passed away and she disappeared, and then all of a sudden Han shows up and Kylo is redeemed and he throws his lightsaber away. I was like, yes, that's what I need from her if you're not going to make her a full-on quote-unquote Jedi. In terms of training and knowing what she is and knowing what she can do, at least give her a story that will she's a princess, she's a general, but let's give her a quality that brings balance to the Force. For lack of a better term, it wasn't quite what we had expected from the first trilogy, but at least she gave a sense of what it was to be someone who could do the right thing.
Yeah,
for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So I wish it would have been better, but you don't have the luxury of that. You just don't. Sure. It's been a long time. but all in all, I really appreciate the fact that they, even on Tatooine, when they show Luke and Leia together, it's like, we're looking. It was a nice touch. To me, it was a nice touch. I don't know. Maybe some people disagree, but for me, I was like, yes, that's the way it should end. Because Luke, when he finds out he's a bigger part of the whole saga, that's what it was. He looked at the two sons. Yeah. He looked at that this is what he is, a farm boy on this planet. So I'm okay. I'm really okay with the fact that they added Leia to that, and they let Rey take that mantle. I'm good with that. Yeah. I was good with it. I was happy with it.
Yeah, I think it all. I think it was just a way to in JJ's mind that it wasn't. His beginning of this saga was still episode 4, not episode 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was. You started on Tatooine basically, and you're ending on Tatooine. That's, I think, to me, that was kind of what he was trying to say. Was it the ideal place? Because I'm trying to think like where else would you be?
Right.
Yeah, I mean they were born on some. They were born on some asteroid. They were born on some asteroid.
That's true. I mean, the only other thing could have been just some new planet. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, maybe where she starts her temple. Yeah, maybe that could be it, right? But it was full fan service. It was trying to be nostalgic and
that was probably the most beginning. On the nose moment.
I mean, it was where Luke sees Leia for the first time and starts his adventure.
That's
right?
true too.
Yeah. So that's kind of
absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely where the adventure starts in pretty much each trilogy. Yeah.
Correct.
And like I say, I may be in the minority on this, but again, as someone who saw Star Wars in the theaters at 9 years old, fan service is not a bad thing. For me,
definitely not.
It really wasn't because I saw that and I was like, yes, that's what I want. That's what I want out of this entire, series. I want to see this, and that's how I feel like it would end, and that's how I feel like these characters would come together.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a very incredibly satisfying ending.
Yeah. I just don't think fans can complain about fan service in this movie when Endgame exists. Cause
I agree.
Endgame is the most fan service comic movie, but I love every moment of it. It's like this works so well.
Yeah.
And Rise of Skywalker does it too. So.
Well, the thing is about this, people talk about fan service with Star Wars, even though there was a lot of it in there. And I am one who has been around from, their beginning. I didn't see it as like heavy-handed.
Sure.
I wasn't I was like, oh, good. You're just trying to make the person who is 50 years old understand what happens here. I really didn't feel like that. I felt like, these things were happening and these things were going on. I was like, it feels, for lack of a better term, it felt organic. To a certain degree. Cool. I wasn't like, you're trying to force this down my throat. You're trying to make sure that me as an older fan was going to be like, oh, well, it was great because they did this and this and this. Yeah, there was some of that, but, I felt like, and to me, I'm kind of spitballing here, but when Leia passed away and Han came back, and then this isn't fan service in terms of like the entire trilogy or even the prequels. This is like, the new stuff. When, Leia was like, I know what I have to do.
Yeah.
And Leia disappeared. And all of a sudden Han shows up and he's talking to Kylo. And Kylo's like, I'm going to throw the lightsaber away and not be the person that I don't want to be. I was like super like, boom, yes, that's what I want. Yes, I want to see Kylo redeemed. I want to see him be the Han Solo and the Skywalker keep that lineage that's going to carry the goodness within the entire series. I really felt like that. I mean, honestly, I was like almost in tears when Kylo was like, I'm going to turn on the Knights of Ren, I'm going to save Rey, and I'm going to sacrifice my life. And I was like, yes, that's what I want. I mean, I didn't want Kylo to die, but I wanted him to redeem himself. I want him to be the Vader of Empire Strikes Back. I want him to save his son. That's what I wanted. And I got that. Yeah. And it wasn't forced down my throat like, oh, we have to do this because you're an order. It was like, yes, it was generic. It was like what it was. And I was like, yes, that's what I want. Nice. When I walk out of the theater, I want to be like, yes, the goodness survives. Whether the Jedi are an actual entity at that point or not, but sure. I really felt like, that's where I'm going. That's what I want.
Great.
Well said. Yeah, well said. Yeah, that's good stuff. That's all I got. No, that was good. That was great discussion on those topics. I think next week when we finish this up, we've got one more guest we're going to bring on here, and we've got our final thoughts on wrapping this thing up because we do got to move on. There's other Star Wars stuff to talk about. Definitely in February, like I said, we're going to lead into the release of the Return of the Clone Wars. We'll talk Clone Wars. We'll talk Mandalorian a little bit too because we haven't really done that too much on this show.
Yeah, love Mandalorian. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, we haven't.
I've got the Lego AT-ST with Mandalorian and Cara and got all that stuff. Yes, love it. Love Mandalorian.
I don't have it out. I got the pop figure somewhere over here. Somewhere that Mandalorian pop figure. There's some talks that we got to do there with that because again we've been so wrapped up with Rise, going through all this stuff, breaking it down. By the time we're done with it, it'll be out on video, I think. Who knows when that's going to be? But anyway, go see the Rise of Skywalker. Keep adding to that total. It's over.
It's a great movie. It's a great movie.
It is.
I really, really enjoyed it.
I did too.
I really had a good time with it.
So where does it rank on your
I
list?
I have to say, like I say, being the original trilogy guy, I loved A New Hope. I would say Empire Strikes Back has been number 1, New Hope number 2. But I really think the Rise of Skywalker is probably 4, or 5. I mean, again, I walked into that movie with all the negativity. I read the reviews and how bad it was, and it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that, and this and that. Man, I walked out of there just like super excited. I loved it. I loved how it all played out. I really did. Yeah. And there was fan service, and there was the cute creatures and all those things. But I really felt like when I walked out there, was I entertained? Absolutely. I didn't walk out of there like, oh, this didn't explain this and explain that, and then all these negative things you come up with. I walked out there going, damn, that was a good movie. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was exciting. It ticked all the boxes, for lack of a better term. I loved it. I had a really good time with it.
I think most people are putting it somewhere kind of the middle, around the middle, either high middle, low middle, or right in the middle.
I think so too. I think so. And what's funny is that the people that have it high have The Last Jedi low.
Yeah.
But the people that have The Last Jedi high have this
so
low.
Crazy, yeah.
It's like...
That's how my friends are. I'm in this group chat.
Split totally down the middle.
Guys who loved Last Jedi hated this one.
Yes. Yeah. So
crazy.
All right, that'll do it for this week. Big thanks to Russ for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Of course. Of course, yes, check us out, InsideTheForce.com. We will be back next week. Like I said, to wrap this up, get some more perspective on somebody on the show, and then we'll look forward to moving on to Clone Wars. I'm going to try to catch up with some Resistance, and then watch the finale. So maybe we can talk about that a little bit next week too. So, thanks, Russ.
Yeah, man. Yeah, appreciate you having me on. I had a good time, and all I can say is read the comics. And if you're a big Star Wars fan, read the comics and watch Resistance. I mean, there's some good stuff going on there. It really is.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody. He's Case Cooley.
Goodbye, everybody.
I'm Dave Cattingham. May the Force be with you.